So who was Samson in the Bible? The man with luscious hair that gave him godly strength. So in the book of Judges, we learn about Samson, a child born to a man named Manoah. An angel of the Lord appeared to his wife. Hey man, you're gonna have a baby. That sounds oddly familiar. The angel instructed him that you should not cut his hair and you should not touch any wine. So boom, they do that. Fast forward years later. Samson is a very impulsive type of person. Anything he sees, he wants. He sees a Philistine woman. Ooh, she pretty. But Philistine was Israel's pagan enemy. They didn't worship the God of Israel. They worshiped the God like Dagon. So his parents were like, nah, bro, that's weird. Not inside my house. But because Samson wanted the girl, they went to go get the girl. Also, this was a part of the Lord's plan to confront Philistine for what they were doing to Israel. In this next part of the story, we learn about Samson's strength. While they were traveling to go get the girl, a lion suddenly attacked Samson. This man with his bare hands ripped the lion's jaw apart. Is you crazy? Look, I may be 6 foot, but I'm not stepping toe to toe with that. So they finally make it to where the woman is. When he went to marry her though, he turned aside and looked at the lion's carcass. He saw that some bees had made some honey within the dead body of a lion. Okay. And to fulfill his hunger, he gave himself and his parents some dead lion honey. Yeah, child, that's in the Bible. This is important for later. Samson throws this huge party for his wedding. As the people are coming from her town, he tries to hustle them, right? He says, hey, I got this riddle for you. If you can't figure out this riddle, you're going to give me a lot of your wealth. If you can, I'll give you some of mine. Out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet. Child, is he really bragging about the lion he just killed? Samson gave those people 7 days to figure out the riddle. For 3 days, they couldn't give him nothing. On the 4th day, they came to Samson's wife and said, hey, can you try to get him to tell us? Because we don't know what he's talking about. So she comes to Samson and said, hey, can you tell me the answer? Because they don't know. Samson, you hate me. Tell me the answer. Real manipulation. Bro, she cried the whole 7 days. I don't know about you, but any man dealing with his wife crying for 7 days about something that got nothing to do with her, child, I fold too. He finally told her the answer, and she tells the other people. The answer was the lion, as I mentioned earlier. So Samson held up his word and actually went to a whole nother village and pretty much killed and burned down their village just for the garments that he promised the other people. Again, read your Bible, people. What Samson didn't know is that because they solved the riddle, for some reason they took his wife and gave it to his best man. Dang, that's cold. So rightfully so, Samson was angry. He took some foxes, gave them some torches, and tied their tails together and told them, hey, y'all need to run through that village right there, and pretty much burned all their grain. And then he destroyed their vineyard. Yeah, Samson was pissed. So rightfully so, Philistine was like, we about to go kill this dude. He camps out in the cave and then finds this broken jawbone of a donkey. A fresh donkey. The donkey had just been killed. And with the donkey's jawbone, he kills 1,000 Philistine people. Once more, read your Bible. This is not a boring book. From this point, Samson pretty much becomes a judge of Israel. All right, now the meat and potatoes of the story. Enter Delilah. Fell in love with a shutty named Delilah. Yeah. Because Samson doesn't watch what he actually puts in his pants while he's trying to get in other girls' pants, Delilah was up to no good. Because of who Samson was and what he did to the Philistine people, they went to Delilah and told her, hey, get him to tell you what his greatest weakness is. Child, she folded for 1,100 pieces of silver. Now, I get it. Back in the day, that meant something. But you sold me out for $1,100? Best believe we having words. So pretty much about 3 different times, she comes up to Samson and say, hey, what's the way to kill you? I don't even know how no alarm bells were sounding in Samson's mind. Because 3 different times, the exact scenario that he told her as a lie happened. Obviously, he didn't die. But when you're thinking with the wrong head, child, you can do some pretty stupid stuff. Finally, he got tired of her nagging and actually told her it was his hair that made him strong. So while he was asleep, Delilah cuts his hair. The Philistine people come in and they seize him and they gouge out his eyes. So now Samson is a prisoner in the Philistine camp. Now throughout this story, all of the victories that Samson had won was because the Lord was with him. But because he was so spiritually numb because of his own desire and because his hair was cut, he didn't know that the Lord had left him. So pretty much he's humiliated and now a prisoner. This is actually where the real point of the story actually starts. Because in desperation, Samson actually prays to God and says, empower me one more time. He stops being so haughty and proud and actually submits to God's will. And in a violent rush of mass murder, he pushes down these 2 pillars that are holding up the temple that he's encamped in, killing everybody from the people that are on top of the temple, inside of the temple, on the side of the temple. He killed more people in this moment than he had did in his entire life. Now, this story shows us things very important. God can use very flawed people. Even in our constant mistakes, God still uses them for the good of his will, using an imperfect person like Samson to confront the Philistines for what they were doing to who we deem as God's children. By the end of the story, we see that humility is what God really wants. Though God was with Samson through all of his mishaps, he didn't approve of them. So humble yourselves before God, and remember, even in your mishaps, God can still use you. If you like this video, please like the video and subscribe if you're new. Peace!